Hello my dear students. Today we are going to discuss our next grammar chapter, adverb. So, first of all I want to ask you, what is an adverb? Yes, adverb is a word which modifies a verb, adjective or other adverbs. For example, he replied. Now, when we say he replied quickly, what we find here? The word quickly is an adverb which gives more information about verb reply in the above sentence. The adverb quickly is the example that tells us about the verb reply, as the reply was given quickly or with no time delay. Similarly, an adverb may also modify an adjective or adverb or other part of a speech except the noun. Now come to the example. As you can see here, the examples are given related to adverbs modifying verbs. Just take an example, they live happily. So what we find, happily is an adverb that describes about the living of the people. Now come to the next example, adverbs modifying adjective. He is seriously ill. What we find? Here we are having an adverb seriously because it describes about the person who is ill. Ill is here an adjective. Now come to the next kind, adverbs modifying other adverbs. So here just take an example, they live very happily. What we find here, that very is an adverb which describes the another adverb happily. Now let's discuss formation of adverb. Formation of adverb. How we can form an adverb? We are having some rules for forming an adverb. First of all, most adverbs are formed by adding ly to the adjectives. For example, happily, easily, quickly, angrily, and so on. Now, few adverbs exist without ly. For example, fast, slow, deep, far, and so on. Now, just discuss kinds of adverb. Here we are going to discuss kinds of adverb. We are having different kinds of adverb. Now, some of the kinds of adverb are going to discuss. First of all, we are going to discuss adverb of frequency. An adverb of frequency tells us how often something is done or happen. Here, in adverb of frequency, they answer the question how often. Some commonly used adverb of frequency are always, rarely, sometimes, often, usually, seldom, occasionally, and so on. Now come to our next kind, that is adverb of degree. An adverb of degree tells us the level or extent that something is done or happens. Adverb of degree describes the intensity of an action. They answer the question how much. Some commonly used adverbs of degree are almost, much, nearly, quite, rarely, and so on. Now we are going to discuss adverbs of affirmation. My dear students, adverbs of affirmation are words that declare that something is true or some equivalent expression. Such words are used to express assertion of something. Some examples of adverbs of affirmation are certainly, undoubtedly, definitely, absolutely, surely, and so on. Now, we are going to discuss adverbs of negation. Adverbs of negation are words that declare something negative in a sentence. Such words are used to assert one's denial of something. Some examples of adverbs of negation are never, hardly, barely, rarely, nothing, and so on. Now, it's time to discuss relative adverbs. My dear students, do you know what is a relative adverb? An adverb which introduces a relative clause is called a relative adverb. Relative adverbs act as subject or object inside relative clause, and at the same time they connect relative clauses to noun or pronoun in other clauses. Some examples are where, when, why, how, and so on, because they all introduce the relative clause immediately in the sentence. As the example, can you tell me how it is done? How is here relative adverb, which introduce the relative clause how it is done immediately. Now, come to our next kind, interrogative adverbs. Interrogative adverbs are used to ask questions about time, place, number, manner, quantity, and reason. Some examples are how, when, where, why. In a sentence, I can tell you, how was the movie? Why don't you like here? So, all these are interrogative adverbs. Now, come to next kind, exclamatory adverbs. Exclamatory adverbs are used to express a sudden or strong emotion of the speaker, as surprise, disbelief, sorrow. All these felt by the speakers are called exclamatory adverbs. Exclamatory adverbs are placed before clauses. These adverbs express the degree in exclamation. Now, next is sentence adverb. Now, my dear students, sentence adverbs. Some adverbs are called sentence adverbs. These words describe how a person feels about an event being described in the sentence, as unfortunately, obviously, luckily, sadly, honestly, and so on. Now, my dear students, we are going to discuss comparison of adverbs. As we are having in adjectives, we are also having degrees in adverbs: the positive, the comparative, and the superlative. The positive degree is the base form of the adverb, and in positive degree we are not having the comparison, but in comparative degree we are having the comparison between the two things or the two people. Now, about the superlative degree. Superlative degree are having the comparison between more than two people or the things. The adverbs form their comparatives and superlatives using er and est and more and most. Adverbs that end in ly use the words more and most to form their comparative and superlative degrees. Now come to adverb clause. An adverb clause is a dependent clause that functions as an adverb. Adverb clauses tell when, where, why, or how the action of the main clause occurs. And the important point is that it begins with a subordinating conjunction. As for the example, John went home after he finished his lunch. Here you can see that after he finished his lunch is an adverb clause, and as I told you, it begins with a subordinating conjunction after. Now come to adverb phrase. My dear students, an adverb phrase is a prepositional phrase that modifies a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. As it is a prepositional phrase, it begins with preposition. Adverb phrase tells when, where, why, how, or to what degree the work is done. Now, as for the example, the travelers left the hotel in the morning. So, what we find here? In the morning is an adverb phrase and it begins with the preposition in. Now, I hope, my dear students, all the topics related to adverbs are clear to you. Thank you and goodbye.